This week we have some of the best and worst of life on a boat. We have some of the best, most beautiful sailing possible, and we have fresh fish for dinner. But before all that, we have to sail in some of the fastest and some of the most uncomfortable conditions that we can remember for almost 4 days to get from Guanaja back to Florida. We're heading back over to the populated little Guanaja town to grab some fresh fruits and veggies and one last delicious meal before we head offshore. I see it said it's alright if we leave our dinghy?
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's like a maze getting.
This might not be the way. Straight up the stairs there.
We really like this little island of Guanaja with its friendly people, clear water, beautiful untouched landscapes, and just general laid-back feel. Like most places we visit, a week is just not enough time to explore all that Guanaja has to offer, but at least we got a little sense of it. Not nearly enough time here in Guanaja. We didn't even get over to Roatan or Tula, the other Bay Islands, but we've got to check it out a little bit. Got a little taste of Guanaja, a really beautiful place, but we have a little bit of weather window now and it's getting late in the season. We got to get up north for hurricane season. We'd actually be relatively safe here in the Bay Islands, or we could go to Guatemala, but for a few other reasons, including warranty work, we have to go back to the States. So we're going to be north of Cape Hatteras for hurricane season, and yeah, we got to get up there. So we're about to set sail. It's pretty windy. We have, I think it's like something like 600 or 700 miles. Luckily, we'll have a really strong current going north I think it's called the Caribbean current, and it kind of runs along the coast of Mexico and then in between Mexico and Cuba, and then it actually goes into the Gulf of Mexico or the Gulf of America, and then comes back down and then turns into the Gulf Stream. So we'll catch that northerly current and then we'll probably hop across into the Gulf Stream in the Straits of Florida, and that'll bring us like right to the Keys basically. Part of the weather window we were looking at is in 3 to 4 days when we do get into that Gulf Stream that flows west to east. We don't want to be in an easterly wind, because now you have a strong Gulf Stream against any sort of easterly wind. Is going to make the waves really short and steep and rough. As of now, the day we should be arriving to the Gulf Stream, we kind of have a light and variable winds, and then it kind of starts to build a little bit from the southeast. So hopefully by the time we get into that southeast wind, we're getting close to the Keys, and then we could just be on a beam reach or a broader reach and push us right up into the Keys, and we're not spending a ton of time in that southeast breeze that's just starting. Cross our fingers. The forecast is pretty windy. It's going to be like 15 to 20 knots. I'm guessing it might be a little bit above 20 knots at times, especially going north these first 2 days. So today is probably gonna be a little sporty, and tomorrow, but hopefully it's not too rough. We're gonna fly. Like, it's one of our fastest sailing angles, and we're gonna be in this current, so we're gonna be doing like 10 plus knots, I bet, over ground. Yeah, so we're just getting ready. We just had to kind of a slow morning, walk jetty, no need to leave at crack of dawn this morning. We had a nice breakfast. Now we're just organizing the boat, getting everything stowed away. I'm about to check the fluids in the engines, just make sure those are ready to go. Pretty much ready. Sarah's gonna raise this door, I think.
This whole trip is a little bittersweet because you guys know for the past year we have been wanting to go through the Panama Canal and then up to the Sea of Cortez, and then life changed, so we changed our plan. And then life changed again, but we decided not to change our plan, so now we're going back to the East Coast and not currently because we're having a baby. So for me, like, this trip going back is really hard. So now we just gotta look for stuff to be super excited about. And I'm really trying. But I don't like offshore sailing in the first place. I just don't feel good. So this next 4 days is not gonna be fun. Having Billy's dad here, Bill, for that last 6 days made it so much easier. And now it's just back to the 3 of us, you know, with Jetty. But she's not taking watches. So back to our 4 or 5 hours on, 4 or 5 hours off. Much easier with 3 people, but we're gonna do it and it's gonna be just fine. I really hope it's not that rough, but it might be, so the Dramamine is coming out. We don't like putting things in our body, but this makes me at least survive this trip. And our friends in this beautiful Nordhaven that we love so much, we met them in Bocas, and they have an Australian Shepherd, and they're just super, super nice people, down to dive and all the fun things. So we chatted with them a little bit yesterday, and they sent us so many awesome spots in Nova Scotia because they spent a couple seasons ago there. And this morning they came and dropped off their Nova Scotia cruising guide. So this is going to be our reading on our sail over there to hopefully get us excited so we can hopefully know where we're going when we get up there, if we get up there. You know, plans could change again. For now, this is a hopeful destination. So, thank you guys. Some of you are probably wondering, like, okay, you changed your plan because you were going back to the States to have a baby, now you're not. Why don't you change your plan again and go through the canal and up to the Sea of Cortez like you wanted to? With that change of plans, we had also changed our warranty work. They said it would be easier done in the US, so we have been like scheduling all of that, and like they need to redo the whole deck we'll get into a whole video about that specifically. So we changed that, and then we have some other stuff like coming up at the end of the year, hopefully, that will be super exciting, and all of that is easier done on the East Coast as well. So we figured because of those 2 things, we might as well keep this change of schedule going. Have I contemplated multiple times whether that was the right decision? Yes. Yesterday I was bawling my eyes out on the beach. Why are we going back? Why don't we just turn around and go to the Sea of Cortez? Ultimately, we do want to start a family, and not that we couldn't do that over there, but now I do have a little bit of a fear being pregnant, not being close to doctors that we know and love and trust, and clean, safe hospitals, and we definitely could get that anywhere. However, we do multiple like days offshore where, being on the East Coast, we could have friends jump on and help Billy, or we could there's just more options over there. So for now, we're sticking to our plan. Whether that's the right choice or not, I don't know, but that is the choice for now. Have you contemplated changing your mind? We were gonna go to the Sea of Cortez, then we changed our mind to go back to the East Coast. Have you thought about changing your mind to go back to the Sea of Cortez?
Yeah, definitely thought about it. Besides being pregnant, I think the other thing that was driving us to make the decision to change our minds in the first place and come here was the warranty work. One other thing is, like, kind of at the time we were making that decision, like, we had this warranty stuff going on with the engines, and it wasn't a big deal. It was just this small leak out of the bell housing. It was just a couple months after this engine fell off its mount. And when you go through the canal and then you're on the Pacific side of Central America, most of that is motoring. It's like a lot of motoring.
And at that point, we were like not super confident in the engine.
Yeah, like, I mean, just the leak out of the bell housing isn't a big deal at all. But are these signs to bigger issues? I mean, I think the engines themselves are fine. They've been great. I was just slightly concerned about maybe the install, because again, like, it falling off its mount over here, like, that's just blatant install error. Our faith in the engines for motoring for 2,000-3,000 miles 2,000 miles, rather than when we are going up this side, we can sail most of the way. We have been sailing most of the way. We have to use our engine still, but there's a lot more opportunity to sail.
And since then, we did have somebody come and fix all that stuff, and now the faith in the engines is back up. And
Yeah.
But at that point, we already, like, didn't schedule our canal. We already rescheduled stuff in the States and yada, 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 yada. So anything else that has ultimately changed your mind, or maybe you want to or not?
Yeah, one thing that we can't talk about yet, but...
Sometimes we just gotta keep some secrets from you guys to keep things interesting. Any guesses? Something we always do before we head off offshore for multiple days at a time is update our float plan. We have this private page on our website, which we got the idea from Andy at 59 North. And so it's this private page, and on this page, it's everything the Coast Guard could ever need to know about us and our boat and our safety gear and who's on here and who to call. And so we share this website with our family, and if they don't hear from us, they know, like, when they call the Coast Guard, here's this link, and every detail you should ever need to know about them is on there. But it also is for our family, so they have our tracking device and our backup tracking device, and we say when we're leaving, when we should be there no later than, and if we're not here by this date, then call this number. Like, I have the Coast Guard's number on here and all that stuff, everything about our boat. So just an idea for you guys, and I just had to go on here and change. I always have to go on and change our date and our location, but I had changed it extra stuff for when Bill was here, so I added him as the crew and took him off emergency contact because he was the crew. So now I gotta go change all that stuff back. But if you guys are ever doing this, it's a good idea.
Alright, fuel filter looks good, coolant looks good. We'll check the gear case oil here, sail drive oil. I don't know if you guys know this, if you have sail drives or are familiar, the way you measure the oil here is you take it out, you clean it off, and you don't want to screw it back in. You just want to stick it back in above, it rests on the top threads. And then you can look at it, and perfect. 1/3 above that bottom mark. If you screw it back in, you're gonna get incorrect reading. That's per the Yanmar manual, and it surprises me how many experienced people don't know that. Oil here. Take it out, clean it, put it back in, and we are good. A little bit under the top mark there. And the sea strainer looks pretty clear to me as far as I can tell. So I think we're good, you guys. Alright, Sierra's lifting the anchor, and I'm just motoring up. I'm watching her hand signals. I can see her through the window here, motoring up so that the windlass doesn't take all the strain. She wants me to go to port here. So we'll use throttles, a little bit of wheel. Go to port. And now we're like right over it, it seems like, so she'll just slowly pull it up and let the boat rock around a little, let the boat break it free, and then when it's finally free, she'll feel it and be able to pull it all the way up, but we won't force it. All right, and we're free. Sierra woke me up early the next morning because the jib was luffing and the jib sheet block broke. As soon as I got on deck, I quickly realized what happened. This block is a lightweight roller bearing block that I upgraded from the stock plain bearing block to try to reduce friction a bit when sheeting in the jib. The stock block was shackled to the jib with a hard metal stainless steel shackle, but this block uses Dyneema lashings to attach to the jib clew. Dyneema is really strong, but does chafe quickly against any sharp corner or edge, and that's exactly what happened here. Even though most of the attachment point on the clew is nice and smooth, rounded stainless steel, there's one little sharp edge that was hidden, and this is what chafed right through the Dyneema lashing. I figured that it took over 2,000 miles of sailing to chafe, so I would just lash it up again with some new line, and it should be fine for the rest of this passage to the Keys. And that's where I can address the underlying problem, which is that sharp edge that's kind of hidden in there. Since leaving Guanaja, we had some really fast sailing. Wind was 20 to 25 knots and right on the beam. And we also had 1 to 2 knots of current pushing us north, exactly where we want to go. This current's actually called the Caribbean current, before it eventually turns into the Gulf Stream current. Seas were as expected with 25 knots of wind and a bit bumpy, also right on the beam. Not the most calm, but definitely not the worst. A small price to pay for sailing fast in the direction we want to go. As we passed the western tip of Cuba and started to adjust our course toward Key West, the seas actually calmed down for a little bit. But just as quickly as they calmed down, they soon started to not build, but get shorter, steeper, and more confused, making for our last 100 miles of sailing to be absolutely miserable. It was almost impossible to sleep in these conditions because just as you would get comfortable, the whole starboard side hull would just drop like 3 feet into a trough. And then the next peak would just absolutely smash the bridge deck, creating what sounded like an explosion inside the boat. I figured that if there was any weak link in the structure or rig of the boat, we would certainly find it out in the next 24 hours if this kept up. And spoiler alert, lucky for us, there wasn't.
After 4 long, rough days at sea, I can't tell you how good it feels to pull inside the reef and get into calmer waters. Billy got us all checked back into the USA using the row map, and then it was finally time to pull in the sails. Over the past year, Billy and I have both had the opportunity to fly back to the States. Twice, and enjoy some of the little luxuries that we don't get in the Caribbean. Jetty, on the other hand, has gone over 365 days since getting to enjoy the simple pleasures of a pet store, so we made sure she got to take her sweet time picking out some goodies.
When we were motoring in yesterday, this engine, the alarm went off, and I think it was a heat alarm. Yeah, it looked like there was kind of not great water flow, so I think it just got a little hot. Though I know that water pump was leaking a little bit, so I just replace that water pump with the rebuilt one. And I'm gonna go check the sail drive down here. The sea strainer was perfectly clear, and looking down into the intake hose looked pretty clear. So I'm just gonna check the intake into the sail drive and see if it's clogged with any seaweed or whatever. And then we'll start it up and see what we got.
So not the water pump, not something around the prop. What's your next guess?
Either a clog in the system before the strainer, in the lines or whatever, or some sort of just like air leak. Like these clamps aren't tight enough or something like that.
Well, thank goodness we were able to sail that whole way.
This is the fitting that goes from the sea strainer to the water pump, and it was kind of loose. I've had a lot of issues with these fittings on the sea strainer specifically, and I resealed the other ones, the ones on the bottom, but I didn't reseal these, and they're like held on with like Teflon tape, but they're straight threads, so like, I don't know, they just come loose so easily. So I suspect maybe we're getting some just air allowed to suck through there instead of it sucking the water in through the sea strainer. So we'll try to just reseal these a lot better and see if that does it. This was all like bunched up here too. I don't know. I resealed the water strainer fitting, however, still no luck in solving our issue. Even though I just replaced the water pump with a freshly rebuilt one, I decided to take it off and check out the impeller anyway. Sure enough, there it was, a broken impeller fin which was completely restricting water flow. With the new impeller installed and the pump back in place, we had perfect flow again. It usually is the simplest explanation, isn't it? Although, I'm not sure why that would have happened to a brand new impeller. Maybe the rubber got dried out or something. Weird. Somehow we lost the footage of all this, and these internet images are not historically accurate, but they are a good representation of what it looked like.
We always do our best to sail when possible, but we also have the biggest appreciation for being out on the ocean when it's glassy. It's easier to move around the boat, see things in and on the water, and it's just overall more comfortable. But it does come at a cost of fuel and the not so peaceful engine noise. So when the opportunity arises to sail in a spot like Biscayne Bay, we snatch it. Because this kind of sailing can be the best of both worlds. We still have the calm, beautiful water, wind pushing us exactly where we need to go, and we get to hang out and relax on the trampolines.
got yogurt all over her face.
What?
She's got, oh, God bless you. You got yogurt on your face still, Jets.
Did you see a fountain? Yeah. Big enough? But take out the holder. Good for me. Right when I was gonna put it away, just was about to reel it in. Look how big that bonita is.
Nice.
Look at that guy. Jenny, look at the fish.
Oh, I missed you.
Don't do it, Jenny. Don't do it.
Here you go, William.
Hold on one sec. We're gonna put this on the side.
Here, what kind? That's good. I'm good.
Hello, strangers!
Jenny, where are your friends? Oh my God. Are you a happy doggy? Our final stretch is from Palm Beach to Stewart, and luckily the weather was absolutely perfect to invite our families for our last little Florida hop before we make our next big jump to North Carolina. And as you could probably have guessed, Lori Sue is most happy when Lori and Sue are back on board.
Now that we're finally back in Stewart, we're going to spend a few days to see family, so we decided to pick up a mooring and give the boat a little bath. This is all with the help of today's video sponsor, Revolve Tech USA. Revolve Tech USA makes compact rollable boat hooks and similar products, which are space-saving, durable, and functional. The handle rolls up to smaller than a roll of toilet paper and extends to over 6 feet long. We're always trying to manage space and storage on board, so to have something be able to roll up and store so compact is super valuable. So while I align the boat and pull up nice and slow to the mooring, Sierra is able to grab it with the boat hook and loop one of our bridle lines through the pennant, and I hop up to the front and I help her with the other bridle line. The other thing we always say about everything on the boat is that everything should have more than one use. And RevolveTech USA helps with that by easily being able to swap the boat hook for a deck brush. It's been a few hundred miles offshore and a few weeks since we gave the boat a bath, so she really needs it right now. It's impressive how much pressure I can put into the handle when I need to put quite a bit of elbow grease into getting the deck clean. And when the soft brush head just isn't cutting it, I can quickly swap it out for the stiff bristle brush. And now that we're hooked up to the mooring and the boat is washed and looking bright and shiny again, I can simply roll it up and throw it in the storage compartment for next time. Check out RevolveTech USA through the link in the description and use code TULASES for 10% off your order. And thanks so much RevolveTech USA for sponsoring this video. And thank you guys as always for watching, and that's all from us today. We'll see you guys next time. Where are we? We gonna see your friends?
Where are we going? Where are we going?
We should have dropped.
Jenny! Where's Lola? Lola, where's your friend? Where's your friend, Lola?
Where's Jenny?
Where's your friend?
There she is.
You didn't make it very exciting. Jenny's like, what food do we have around here?
Come here, your friend. Come here. Where's Jenny? Where's Jenny? Hey, Jenny.